Looking at all the people, we do appreciate everybody who has joined us. I guess I'll kind of go ahead and lead it. If any of you guys have any questions, feel free to use the chat. We'll use that a lot. We'll try to be engaging. And if you would, what is probably your number one reason, if you would, why you think why you're here? There we go. Are you here because you want to learn more about VEs because you have one? Are you wanting to figure out about this VE because you're new to it? Um, oh, I personally, if we would make sure everybody mutes, if you could yourself, because we've got 52 people on here. It'll get a little loud. But if you're in the chat, if you do put that out there, that would be fantastic. It kind of lets us know exactly kind of what you're here to make sure. Because, me and Athena and Michael, we live this stuff. So we literally can just talk about a lot of things, which we've kind of got a nice little agenda here, which I think will answer a lot of those questions. But we want to make sure we get to that. Do you have a VE and you're looking for some training tips? Is this like a completely new thing to you and you would just like to kind of I'm just here for the content, Cass. You can just say that. So kind of helps us get along. We do these webinars every month, and so we thank very much for Hawksoft allowing us to put this on. Some of you guys may have seen us when we were at the Hawk's Nest a couple, what was it, well, it was about a month ago, wasn't it? It was almost about a month ago in beautiful Vale. If you weren't able to make that, I hope you make it next year. It was absolutely gorgeous. And so what we do when we do these webinars, we always try to, kind of make them fun, try to make them to where we're theming them. And as you can see, this is what we call the 5 Ps. We call it the VIPs here at Virtual Intelligence. And truth be known, as will always be with you, when we started the business in 2021, there were 3. And how we came up with that is giving you just a tad background is that Travis Etheridge and I, which is a business partner of mine, we started using virtual employees around 2014. Some of you may not even have been in the insurance industry then, but we were starting to use them because we realized a lot of things that you're learning. Do we have the right person doing the right job? That was very, very key. We want to really think about that when you start looking at your agency. And one of the reasons why you want to have the right people doing the right job that Travis and I found out is when you have the right people doing the right job, you're able to pay your licensed people more. That sounds good, doesn't it? The other thing is when you have the right people doing the right job, you don't have your staff running out the back door at the end of the day saying, oh my gosh, did I get anything complete? Did I get anything done today? If that's your story, you can put a little Y in there like, yeah, that's our agency. Believe us, we're all fingerprints and unique, but at the end of the day, we all have the same issues and the same problems. What you have to realize is this. We're not here to eliminate licensed people. We're here to put licensed people in our agency at what they're really good at, and then we build systems around them. One of those systems happens to be virtual employees. And when we found out this, we were able to compensate people better because we were using the economy of scale to our advantage, meaning people who needed to do ID cards don't need to be paid $65,000 to $90,000 a year, right? We can have other people who maybe get paid $30,000 a year and they like doing that work. That's what they prefer to do. They like supporting the licensed. So that's why we kind of come up with these Ps, and we're going to kind of hand out the treats on what those Ps are, which kind of breaks down a little bit of what you should be thinking about when you're looking at virtual employees. Now, Michael, I would love for you to tell me, did I leave anything out there? Anything there?
Nope, we're super excited. These are the things that we do in our own agency. This is not theory. This is practice. We live it, we breathe it. And we have a unique experience because we both have our own agencies. We also run virtual intelligence. So we get to be in a lot of insurance agencies ourselves and see what people are doing well, see what people need to improve on. So we're looking forward to sharing with you everything we know.
That's right. And then one last thing I want to know, because I want you guys to know the field here. Michael is very heavy personal lines. Okay. We are very heavy commercial lines. And to be specific, we write all kinds of commercial, but around 80, maybe 90% of what we do happens to be around 3 to 5,000 in revenue or more, not premium, or revenue of more. So we utilize VEs in really, really sophisticated ways that allow us to be able to work with large clients who have huge demands, but while allowing our license and our producers to maintain the things that they're doing. So here we go. We're going to talk about the 5 Ps, which we like to call people, process, and protection. Those were our original 3 when Travis and I started this in 2021. Now, Michael was starting his, but we were completely separate. And then Michael and I came together at the beginning of 2024. Is that right, Michael?
That's correct. April 2024.
April 2024. And we realized that we had strengths and he had weaknesses, and he had strengths and we had weaknesses. One of them being the different types of people that we had. He had a very, from Colombia, very Latino, front forward facing agents. Us being out of the Philippines, we had a lot of back agents, our backroom workers, kind of the things I was just explaining to you. And coming together, we were actually able to help each other be able to help our clients, because I had clients who were saying, hey, I'd like to have somebody who's forward facing. And he had clients who were like, hey, maybe, well, not even his clients, his virtual employees who maybe just needed to do quoting or doing something specific. So we do base it everything on our people. We have high quality virtual employees. We have a process that I'm just going to tell you, I don't know anybody else in the industry that does it. We have protection. We do that completely different. We take protection very seriously, as I am sure you do. We have clients' information that's flying across the internet stream. And so we want to do that. Our productivity. We want to make sure that we know what our people are doing. We spend extra money on technology to make that happen. And then our professor. We like to call that's our LMS, our learning management system. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. Michael, once again, I'm gonna talk. Michael's gonna talk because we see things differently because our agents are different. Anything you want to add there, Michael?
Yep. Before we move on, just wanted to get a feel of the room. If you can put yes in the chat, if you're using a virtual assistant, a virtual employee in your agency, so we get a gauge of, everyone in the room.
Yeah, that would be awesome. And I know you guys are putting in the chat. Thank you, because my thing's beeping over here, which is awesome. That gives us some engagement. I also want to stop before we get on to the people, because I want to talk about a very important person, which is also Athena. Athena Page is in here. You may have seen her famous videos out there that she gets a lot of. Hollywood's calling. If you haven't seen her videos, Hollywood is calling. I don't know about that, but she is actually our head of sales here. She has been working with us a while. She is out of Colombia. You will be able to find out that if you want to talk to us anymore in the future, you probably be working with either Athena and then me, or Athena and Michael. Also do want to throw out there, Michael is a Hawksoft user. We're AMS 360. So just wanted to kind of give you, so when you kind of understand our systems and what we're dealing with. First of all, I'd like to talk about our people. And I want to let you know, you notice we use the word VE. Everybody else uses the word VI or VA, a virtual assistant, virtual employee. I mentioned their EAs and VEs. Marvin is out of the Philippines. He's been with me since 2020. And he handles my personal $6.5 million commercial book. Okay. Just to give you our structure, Michael can tell you his. We have 2 virtual employees who work on personal lines, 2 who work on commercial lines, and then we have 1 senior account manager with 3 producers. And so they do around 60 to 70% of the work, the VEs do, the tasks, the things that need to get done, quote prep, COIs, endorsements, those type of things. And then it's overseen by a senior account manager who just does the things that she needs to do. Maybe it's a detailed COI that needs some AI wording, or some forms that need to be matched, or the contract needs to be managed. Now, there's a lot of that stuff that Marvin can do, but he also knows what he is not allowed to do, and he ups that to the licensed people. And so why we call them virtual employees and they're not assistants? Assistants are usually task driven. Usually they do one thing, maybe one project. Ours are employees. they're doing just as much as our regular employees are, and we see them that way. And that's basically how we see that. So I really, really wanted to highlight that. One other thing about our agency, our phones are answered by Sophia and Ivana, which come out of the Colombia. And all of our most backroom work, not all, is done by Marvin and Lordland, and they're out of the Philippines. Michael, would you like to talk a little bit about how they work in your agency?
Yeah, we basically have four client facing. And what I like to do is basically separate those positions. One that's more client facing, one that's more back office, because I look for the personality and the ability. The client facing, they help us a lot of tasks when it comes to, dealing with clients on the phone, via email. The back office is more like repetitive administrative work, like quoting, and mortgagee changes and COIs and things like that. I also this year in January hire an executive assistant, just like Jason, following Jason's lead. And that has completely, transformed what I can do. Like I feel like my output has significantly increased by having somebody just kind of being that point of contact. And what I want to say on the people side, Jason, is that on 2019, I posted an ad to hire an administrative assistant locally here. Before I was, I think I was using a VA for quoting at that time. I had 300 applicants. Now, fast forward to 2022, I posted the same job. I could not find 10 people to do an administrative position. So it was a real reality how the labor completely shift, in just a matter of 2 years after the pandemic. So that's really what got me motivated to try to find a solution. And that's when I ended up in Colombia, finding out that I needed more client facing people. And the reason why I ended up going the VE route, is because I started initially, I don't know if I told you this, but with a answering service. So basically, I went through Arizona, I forget the name of the company, and I created this whole game plan that, here are the most common calls my agency gets. I documented it, I provided to them. And when I listened to the calls, the experience was terrible. Why? Because they were not trained in insurance. They didn't have access to my management system, to the carriers. So it completely ruined, the experience. So that's when I realized, hey, I got to find people that I can train on insurance. They can have access to my system, see the notes. And that's really when I started looking into Colombia. And at the time, everybody was using VAs and VEs for back office and not client facing. So what we found is that we needed professionals, we needed people that we can rely on, that we can train them in insurance, and that we can, they can grow with our agency and we can promote them to better positions.
And you got me thinking sometimes when you're talking going back, at the very beginning, not so much I don't think anymore in a lot of agencies because I think we're kind of used to the VA, VE concept. But I remember my employees kind of thought that we were bringing them on and we were going to eliminate them. It didn't take about 2 to 3 months before I had my head senior account manager, Sarah. She came to me and said, Jason, if you get rid of them, I'm going to, because I'm not going back to doing the work that they love doing. So really, really think about that and think about the stress that you're relieving from them. Just to give you a background, they are bilingual. So they're coming in speaking Spanish, English. Most of them come from 1, 2, 4, 5 years of actually working with an American firm, not necessarily an agency, even though we get those as well. But that helps build the culture. These are the things that Travis and I noticed that we were having cultural issues. One of the things, and this is a nice little training tip for you, is that we realized that you just don't teach somebody about a mortgage change. You have to explain the concept to them. And this is part of our training routine. We explain to them what a real estate agent is, what's a mortgage broker, what is a loan, what is a mortgage, how's this whole process working? Because when you do that, you can actually get them to work on their own with less training. What we found out though is that you have to have high quality people. The average person is probably paid maybe 1, 2 times of minimum wage in their country, and that can differ. Ours are paid anywhere between 4 as much to 8 times what their minimum wage is. We have to do that to get higher quality so that the training sticks and they become just like glue with our current team. So if you don't have anything else, we can go. You good? Okay.
Yep. Yep.
So
We're
that
good.
was the first treat. That was the first treat. I hope you guys found that yummy. I don't know what exactly, like, I'm not big on candy corn. If you're big on candy corn, you can put a yes in there. If you're embarrassed that you like candy corn, don't put yes in there. You know what I mean? So yes, we have the process, which is our 8-week onboarding training process. This is something that comes from a lot of learning. Travis and I created this ourselves, even when we were with these 3 other companies that were an absolute nightmare. We created this ourselves because it was a nightmare. We basically have a 2, 2, and 4. Okay. So for the first 2 weeks, what they're going to be is they're going to be learning insurance technology, what it's like to work in an agency. They're going to be learning terminology, replacement costs, all these different types of things. And if they pass that, they're going to go on to the next 2 weeks where they're going to be learning your agency. They're going to be learning the tasks that you meet. After you select your virtual employee, we'll talk about that at the end. After you select your virtual employee, you'll meet with our onboarding team. These people have been working in agencies from anywhere from 2 to 4 years, and they're going to be helping you say, what are those tasks that you're needing to get done? I'll be honest with you, there's about 5 or 6 tasks that 80%, maybe 70% of what your team does every day. And we pretty much know that that's where it's going to be. But some of you guys want certain things that you want done customized, like, hey, we do it this way. And that's what we use those 2 weeks to really train them on your system and your processes. And then in the last 4 weeks, we are going to monitor and we are going to shadow them. Meaning the person that they, more than likely, the person that they were with at the very beginning when they were getting training is going to shadow them to make sure, are the things being done right that you said you wanted them to do? That customization, are we following along? And it's usually around the 8-week period, which we found is when everybody's settled in. Your team is comfortable with the VE is comfortable with your agency, and it's usually a pretty smooth process. If you've ever been out there with any of our competitors, God love them, they're good, but they have about a 1 to 3 week training process. If you've really heard some horror stories, the way you eliminate that is by having longer training. Michael, anything you want to add there, sir?
Yeah, that this is really where we shine, and kind of what, if we can give any advice to all the agency owners here today, is that when you do that, when you do this at scale, like we interview people at scale, we train people at scale, we really help kind of the agencies cut that learning curve. And if I can give you guys any advice, is you have to figure out how to onboard people into your agencies and integrate them into your agencies. They're not contractors. They may be, you maybe have a contract through, a company like ours, but they're really your employee. You have to include them in all the meetings and all the decisions,
Yeah.
because they really need to feel that they're part of your agency. That's how you're going to keep them for many years to come. And one of the biggest things that we do with the onboarding is really getting realistic with what they can do and what they cannot do, and what's a realistic onboarding process, right? What I tell agencies all the time, like, you want 3 to 5 things that they do really well that first month. Then over time, you're going to add more and more tasks to their plate. A lot of agencies have unrealistic expectations. They want to teach 10
True.
things, and they don't give that VE time to really accomplish and succeed at those things and build that confidence in the repetition. And then they wonder, hey, why did that VE fail? Well, that VE failed because you overwhelmed them with too much information too fast. So it will be sometimes inefficient at the beginning where you're not getting full productivity, but that's with any employee anywhere. You want to add, and one of the things with us, with our process during the onboarding process, it says that's what we're doing. We're setting realistic expectations. We're teaching you our mistakes so you don't have to make them again. And then we have an LMS with 400 plus courses. So, like, let's say, for example, 3 months after that VE is working in the agency and you want to teach them COIs, you can go back to us. Hey, Michael, I'm ready to, add COIs to my VEs, tasks. So they go and take the COI training, and then now you have a new thing you added to their plate. So having a process of onboarding your employees to the agency, whether it's a non-licensed person like a VE or a licensed person, is crucial for the success of both the employee and the agency.
I want to add a couple of things real quick. Michael, that's fantastic. I mean, for real, I'm glad you brought those points up. A couple points that I also wanted to bring up is I want to give you a little tip for how to train them. Okay, just a little tip. This is a little freebie. I won't charge anybody. If you have VEs, you'll understand how important this is. If you're going to get one soon, this is very important as well. One of the ways that you can train them to actually communicate with your customers, communicate with your underwriters. I mean, they're making all those calls, they're calling for billing, is when you have them write an email or you're going to have them have a call, ask them to give you that email first. So this was something I really did well with Marvin, is that Marvin, if you're going to write an email to a customer, send it to me first. I want to see it. And then I would be able to help him critique it. And then the next time he would send it to me and say, Jason, what do you think about this? And really kind of built his confidence himself, but not only that, also in the fact that it needs to be nice, clear, and concise when we're dealing with our customers. So that was one thing that I really, really used very, very hardcore. So I want you to keep that in mind when you're doing it. If they're having phone calls, you should be doing the same thing. Hey, I know you're getting ready to call billing. Why don't you run that by me real quick? Also, you're helping them understand how maybe Erie or how Hartford or Travelers is actually doing their billing and helping them understand that. The last thing I want to tell you, you're going to get somebody that's going to be more qualified if you get than getting somebody off the street. They're not going to be an expert. If we said beginner, intermediate, and high level advanced, they're going to be super beginner, but they're going to understand what replacement cost is. They're going to understand things that you normally aren't going to understand unless you come off. So it is allowing you to also speed up that process of training them. I'm pretty good at that. Thank you very much. Who's turning this? Is that you, Athena?
That's me.
Oh, that's you. Okay, Michael. No problem. No problem. You want to start with protection?
Yeah. So, one of the biggest challenges that we see with agencies as we onboarding, as a company, we have to be a lot more strict with our securities because, you guys are relying on us. So we have hundreds of employees. So we cannot do shortcuts when it comes to protection. And, we've partnered with Lightspeed to basically help us, accomplish that. And that's one of the things that I see a lot of agencies failing on. They don't have a procedure, or software to help them protect. So one of the things to consider, we have multiple layers of protection. So for example, we have first the endpoint protection that lives in the computer. Like we can tell everything that comes in and out of that computer, and we can shut it off, with a click. We also have a productivity software, right? So that productivity software is more like, we don't go and micromanage, but we use it more like if something is off where they're not doing what they're supposed to do, we can go and dive deeper into the activity, the productivity, how long they're idle, what apps they're using. So we really learned, when agencies work with us, we've kind of like transfer that knowledge and give them the tools that they need to better protect not only their offshore, employees, but also their U.S. employees, because a lot of agencies just don't even know where to start when it comes to protection.
That's exactly right. And he nailed it. I just like to say a lot of our companies, if you are your competitors, and I'm giving you the things that you should be asking, okay? These are the things you should ask if you happen to go out there, is you should be asking them about their security. Once again, as Michael said, we pay a third party what they would be charging you for your business. So you're talking $100, $150 probably plus a month is what we're paying. A lot of our competitors will just put some kind of system on your screen that just kind of on your computer that just monitors it on what they're doing. We pay the value because if we have high quality people with a high quality training process, we want to make sure that we've got high quality protection out there as well. So that is very, very big. I also want to stop here for a minute and answer some of these questions because we're getting a lot of them, and I love that. I think Tom Ward out there, the one and only Tom Ward, if you're an Erie insurance agent, you know how awesome he is. He talked about, I kind of lost out there. I was looking at his thing. Mike Crowley, man, we got a lot of great people on here. Explain your secret on how you obtain better VEs. And maybe we hit on this a little bit, but that is a good point. We have access into JP Morgan's fraud unit out of the Philippines. We are looking for not just somebody who worked in a call center, but who is the lead of those call centers? Who is the manager of those call centers? Due to our deep connections, once again, been doing this since 2014, full bore doing it ourselves since 2020. We have connections. We're looking for very high quality people. Michael talked about it. I don't know exactly, but I know there's probably 30 to 50 people that we're going to interview. We're probably going to take anywhere between 10 and maybe 5 of them end up in the portal for you to see because they have to go through a rigorous efficiency test, background checks. We put up the upfront money so that you can keep them in your office. the number one thing we hear about people is that, hey, Jason, they came in, I trained them for 6, 7, 8 months, and then they left me. I don't care if that's a VE or any kind of employee, that hurts an agency because that's a lot of time that we're putting out there. And Tom, you can step in at any time if you want, and you can give us how much premium do our VEs handle. For instance, well, if you want to say that, we're around 11, almost 12 million, 6.5 million of that. I know Marvin does. That's my personal lines book of business. We'd like to go also by revenue. So I do know that Reagan's best practices says that employee our revenue per employee for our size is probably 120 to 140,000. That depends on how you count your accountants and all your owners and stuff. But ours is riding definitely up around 180. There's no doubt about that when you divide out and actually who's actually providing those services. So that's very, very important to understand. Is there another thing in there that you saw, Michael, that someone said, do you hire VEs directly or use a service? Shelly, we are the service. So that's why we're educating you now about virtual employees and about what you should be looking at. But we're one of the services that you would reach out to, and then we would help put that person in your agency based on all this stuff that we're saying. If I didn't answer that correctly, please let me know. That's very, very, very important. So you heard Michael talk about productivity. How do you know they're working? I mean, we can kind of say that about any of our employees, right? Well, all my employees, including, you're welcome, Shelly, all of our employees, including my licensed, have what's called Insightful. And Insightful is a program that we use that allows us to be able to measure when their mouse is moving, what websites are they on, when are they taking their lunches? What are they doing? It helps us with security, and it also gives us a productivity level. So the productivity level is usually between 60 to 70. If they have 60 to 70% productivity, I know that sounds like, dang, that's all there. No, believe me, that has been proven across the industry. If someone's usually more than 70 to 80% productive, they're going to get burnt out. I don't care if they're a licensed employee or anything. We see this with our VEs and our license. If they're usually below 50 to 55%, there's more they could be doing. Not only do you have access to Insightful, not only do I have access at my agency, but also the VE has access to that, to where we can kind of help monitor that, like, hey, they're at a 48% or a 55% level. We notice that at the end of day, we get reports from all of them that tell us what you were doing. There's some things that we could do. Why don't we talk to our training team and find out some more things that we could be giving the virtual employee? The productivity is a key in what we do at delivering it. Michael, you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, so somebody asked, if the agency owner has access. We're trying to figure out how to share that at scale. But for example, the way we do it is like we do have somebody monitoring it, but let's say, for example, this person is just, not completing the tasks in a timely manner. So you come up to us and say, hey, Jason, hey, Michael, can you look into, the activity of this person in the last, a few days? We can go back and provide you those reports. It's one of those things that you don't need to look at all the time, but you kind of look at it, in combination with other things. So, for example, we have an EOD email that's being sent out, the end of day report, where the virtual employee sends the agency and us kind of what they completed at the end of the day. So there you can start gauging, hey, how many tasks is this person, completing? And sometimes you have to realize that it's not just that the person is not working. Maybe they need to be trained on other things.
That's
Maybe
right.
you need to be delegating some stuff that your licensed person is doing that refuse to give up. They need to be delegated to them. So we have to look at the full picture before, we're able to only rely on this one thing, right? So, but we use it in conjunction with the other tools that we have essentially to really gauge productivity.
Yes, that's right. And I want to also let you know we have a CTO that is in-house. So I hear them talk about it. I know we have access to it. Michael, I don't know if we exactly had access to it. I think we do because I look at it for my employees, or our CTO does. So thanks for clearing that up. Also, I put in here in the into the chat. You can see in there, if you click on it, click on chat at the top, and then you can kind of get a view of that. And that is wrong. You know what? We should do that, Michael, at the next time. We should actually have the tracker actually open,
Mm-hmm.
so that we could actually show them that. Um, I want to kind of go to a key here, though. This is where we're different. This is why we call it the VIPs, the very important processes, the very important protection. We will definitely not be the least expensive virtual employee company out there. We're definitely not the most expensive. But what we do is we are not worried about cost. We know that the cost can be good. We want to make sure that the P's are good. We want to make sure that you're getting high quality people. You guys know this more than anybody. High quality people cost money. It's that way in America. It's that way worldwide. And we want to make sure the training's there. Having a trainer who actually knows and has worked in an agency and having them work with 8 weeks with somebody, that costs money. The protection, working with Lightspeed solutions, that costs money. We're over, I don't know, 200 and some computers that we're having monitored. That's a huge cost. Having the productivity tracker, and not only just having the productivity tracker, but we have a full-time person that does nothing but monitor that for agencies. That's an extra cost. I know for a fact that our other competitors don't do that, but that's how we can sleep at night. Michael and I are both agents, and that's what we do to be able to be doing the best. I'm trying to. Oh, there's Mitch. If you see Mitch coming in, he's our chief technology officer of my agency, but also of Virtual Intelligence. And our goal is to have your staff and site reports available on VI Clamp as soon as possible. Okay, there you go. So that's for sure on our portal roadmap. Thank you very much for that. Anything I'm forgetting there, Michael? Anything? You know, and Mitch, you feel free to jump in anytime you want if there's something that we're not forgetting. You're dealing with all this stuff hardcore as well. Actually, now that we're talking about it, Mitch is the one who designed all this for us. The professor is the LMS. This is Mitch's baby. The LMS is a learning management system. Okay, like we have an agency management system and we have a client relation management system, our CRMs. This is an LMS. You hear people talk about this, but what we did is we created this for our own self. Now, our clients and other clients who aren't even clients of ours, they've seen agents using this LMS and they say to us, how can we get access to that? So this we are not selling this out as on its own. We probably should be because of our requests we get for it. It has over, Mitch, you can tell me if I'm wrong, 350 or
400
so. How
and
much?
counting. Yeah,
How much?
we're probably at 400, I believe.
Okay, 400. We have about 400 videos on there. It's teaching you AMS 360. It's teaching you Hawksoft. Everything we have to teach our VEs. Not only is it teaching you Hawksoft, but it's teaching you how to add a customer in Hawksoft. It's teaching you how to do an endorsement in Hawksoft, how to run reports in Hawksoft, all those different types of things, but just not Hawksoft. What if you're an AZ user, an Agency Zoom user? What if you're an Insured Mind user? We have training videos in there for that as well. We have a commercial lines a course that's in there. I taught it. I'm the one who actually developed it, and it teaches your people. So not only are we having this is what blew our mind. We invented this for virtual employees to learn, and agencies are actually utilizing it with their licensed people. So you're going to still need the higher licensed people because there's licensed things that need to be done. If you bring in a licensed person because you need help with sales or some high level customer service work, you can use the LMS, the learning management system, to train them. And that's part of our system. Once again, costs money. That's the reason why we do what we do, and we feel as if we're laying out the quality there. Michael, anything on the LMS? And Mitch as well. This is Mitch's baby. Mitch literally has created this from the ground up for us.
Yeah, we had to build our own LMS because we had so much training, and it goes back to what I was saying in the beginning. You're not going to teach somebody insurance in 1 month. So you have to be strategic when you're onboarding and training people. But the advantage is that as the time goes on by, if you want to add more and more to the things they can do, we have that training for them. So that is a huge advantage. And why do you want to use an LMS? Because the LMS, you can control what they learn. You can test, you can quiz them at the end of each section. We even have, sometimes sandboxes for like a Hawksoft or an Agency Zoom or a risk advisor that in addition to them just consuming the training, they can go and play around with the software. So by the time they go to your agency, you're not starting from scratch in whatever that we teach them.
That is right. And I want to also say, I'm looking at this list, which is really, really kind of cool. We have a lot of agency owners on here that are virtual employee, or virtual intelligence clients. One of the things that I find unique about us is that most of our agencies, not all, but a vast majority of them have multiple VEs from us. That tells us that we're doing something right. Another way that we are able to acquire a lot of virtual employees is that when people call us, and let's say they already have one from another company, they call us and say, hey, they tell us the horror stories. We help them with a virtual employee. They usually bring that other virtual employee over to our system, gets better training, gets better health insurance, gets better retirement. Keep in mind, we forgot that on the VIPs. Not only are they paid very well, but they have health insurance. We're taking out taxes in their country. We're treating them very, very well. A lot of our competitors, and I don't mean to just tell you, I'm trying to help you not just understand us, but the scenario. A lot of them are not getting that. They're being trained are paid as 1099 workers, and when they go to retire in their life, they're not going to have anything like we do with Social Security. We feel as if it's important that our people are treated just like any other human would be. And by getting that, that's how you get the VIP of the good people. Anything that I'm leaving off there?
I don't know if, but I wanted to share with most agencies just don't have the bandwidth, the time, or shouldn't even, go this route of like building your own LMS and trying to put everything into an LMS because it's very labor intensive. And Mitch will tell you, Mitch has been working on this for a year or so. So we're doing it so you don't have to do it yourself. So I don't know if Mitch, if you have anything else to add on the kind of the LMS and that journey.
Yeah, I know, and it's just continuing to get better. I know, like for example, last month we started off a year ago just doing the basics of personal lines and commercial lines, and then more of a technological approach to it with management systems and things that we have availability to. But like we have clients that now are doing employee benefits and health insurance side of things. I didn't have any training material on that, so being able to partner with that agency if we don't have the material that they may need for maybe the line of business or specific niche that they're focusing on, I'm more than happy to sit with them and create a training module around specifically how they do something in their agency as well. So just because it's not in there doesn't mean it can't be created, and that's kind of where the partnership really helps us to provide more trainings for the future.
Mitch, am I correct? Just in the last month or two, you added some employee benefits, or you started with
Yep.
another agency that asked us.
Yeah, correct. We have a full, I think it's 7 modules about employee benefits, the basics of employee benefits, what those mean, COBRA insurance, things like that, COBRA coverage. So it's beginning to get more, the variety of trainings are starting to open up, which is great.
Haley, I'm going to leave that over to the Grand Master of Hawksoft over there. Michael, if you see that, I do not know that. I have AMS 360, and I don't even know if it's monitoring AMS 360. Mitch, do you know the answer to that? Oh, sorry, Michael. Sorry, Michael.
So basically, let's kind of break it down, right? Insightful lives in the computer of the employee. It's monitoring everything that employees do in that computer, what apps they're using, and things like that. You can go into that software and label certain apps productive versus non-productive. So it's more like an aggregate, high-level view, how many hours this person worked, how many of those hours were labeled productive. If you wanted to go more granular, like what was actually accomplished, that's where you use Hawksoft to see what kind of task, what kind of activity. And if you want to use our own VEs kind of like to see what they did, actually what tasks, then you can also look at the EOD that they send out in conjunction to Insightful, in conjunction to Hawksoft. So everything kind of ties together. You're looking at different pictures to kind of look at the whole picture of the activity of that user.
I like that.
I
Well,
just put an example in the chat. I mean, it's my executive assistants, and that's kind of, I didn't share some of the personal stuff above it that you can't see, but that's kind of a generalist idea of what kind of reports we're able to see based off the applications and use cases that they spend the most of their day doing and what apps on.
thank you. That's good stuff. That's good stuff. That's really good stuff there. And you can click on it and go in, and I think it opens up a little bit more detailed. But I have to tell you, I think it's fantastic. We use more of an agency Zoom to track our stuff. So being able to tell what tasks are being done. I brag a lot. I think I have one of the best agency Zooms out there. But once again, I have Mitch, who understands insurance after 8 years, and we brought him over here and said, hey, we want you to do the tech. So that's what we use when it comes to more tracking who's doing what. Also, we have the end-of-day reports, but I don't really look at those. I'm looking at what we're doing inside of our service center is what's coming out and what's being tracked there. And one of the things also I like to brag about is somebody who's her name is Sophia. Sophia Garzon. If you call my agency, 618-532-2277, she's going to probably answer, her Ivana. Sophia came to me when she was 24 years old. We hired her. It was around the summer of probably 20. I see, it was probably 23. She was 24 years old. She's 26 now. She came to me, literally to me, after 8, 9 months and said, Jason, I don't think that our claims department is what it needs to be. I said, wow, that's amazing. So I gave her a little budget. I said, here's what you could have, and I want to see your overview of what you're going to do. She came back to me of this is what I want to do, and she started small. We had a third-party company that just did our claims. That's all they did. Once again, we do commercial, we do large commercial. And we, this month, actually just got rid of that third-party claim, 100% truthful. And now Sophia leads the claims department. She built it her completely herself. She's 26 years old. And she, like I said, most of these people are coming out. They're coming out of college. They're very smart. They're very gung-ho. And if any of you are interested, like what did she do, send your email right in there, and I'll have Sophia, excuse me, Susel, that's another VE of ours. I'll have Sophia actually even give you a little video of some of the things that she did. She's not going to show you, but she can tell you some of the things she did. We are overwhelmingly proud of her. One of our other virtual employees, her name's Ivana. She answers the phone as well. You guys can also see them if you go to the Insurance Alliance, theinsurancealliance.com, and go to the About Us page. You can see them. Ivana is so big and so loved by people in our community that she teaches with, I think, 5, 6, 7 other Colombians. She actually teaches over 250 students in Centralia, Illinois, Spanish, how to learn Spanish. Travis and I realized that in America, it's going to be very important that you're going to have to learn Spanish. Just like we see in other countries that those who know English in other countries make more money. Trying to prepare the kids of what we know going forward, we felt as if that was an investment into our community. So Ivana is not only just answering the phone, she's actually involved in our community and people know who she is. And I just want to bring a realism to who these people are and what they do for not only our business, but also our community. That's about all that I have to say. I am going to be a salesperson because that's how I made all my money in my life. And I would love to have the opportunity. Athena will reach out to you. If you say, hey, I want that loudmouth Michael or Jason on with you, I'll come as well. But Athena helps tens, I'm going to say 8, 10, 12 people every month place virtual employees into their office. And what she's going to do, what would that look like? She's going to meet with you, mainly kind of go over briefly what this stuff was. She really kind of wants to find out your agency. Are you personal lines, commercial lines? Are you 50-50? What are those tasks you're going to need? She's an expert. We have a portal that has all these people in it. She's going to go into the portal, find 2 or 3 that she thinks are going to be great for you. She's going to send those to you. When she sends those to you, you're going to log in, go into this portal. You're going to be able to see their training materials, their test scores. If you're wanting a forward-facing someone who's answering the phone, you're going to hear them getting trained by answering the phone and how they're answering it and the questions. I'm going to tell you right now, I promise you, in 30 days, they'll have someone in your agency answering the phone and they'll do it better than your licensed staff. If they don't, come back and talk to me and I'll buy you dinner. I promise you that. Because the way they're trained, I never trained my staff that way. I just got to admit, I never did. But the way they're trained now by Juan, he is one of our lead trainers on the phone. He's fantastic. You're then going to look at those. You can either hire them right there or you can say, hey, I want to set an interview, and you can interview the person. Most times people just hire them because and once you get to know Athena, you realize how great she is and she understands your agency. And then at that point in time, once you select them, you would then go on to our onboarding team, which is going to meet with you for about an hour, and they're going to go over like, what are you going to need? We're going to love it if you bring your commercial lines person, personal lines person, your operations manager, those different types of people on, so that we can really get what the need is. And then boom, we go into that 8-week onboarding process and get you in. They'll be in your office within 30 days working, and us monitoring them for 4 weeks afterwards, just like we talked about. Now, Michael, I talk quick, so please, if there's anything on that onboarding, and then Athena, if you would please kind of introduce yourself and then kind of tell where I may have forgot on the onboarding. Michael?
Athena, if you want to go ahead, and I can close it out with some thoughts.
Yeah, sure. It's a pleasure to meet each and every one of you. My name's Athena. I'm head of sales here at Virtual Intelligence. It is my pride and joy to be able to find the perfect VEN candidate for your agency. So I hope to be able to meet some of you personally and get rolling with a V.
Thanks,
Awesome.
Athena. Thanks,
And
Athena.
one of the cool things that Athena personally talks to the candidates sometimes to make sure that she's matching you. That alone is worth its weight in gold. But I wanted to close out with these thoughts, in the spirit of Halloween, we want to make sure that when you partner with Virtual Intelligence, you're getting all the 5 treats delivered to you, right? As a package, not individually. So we're not a company that's just going to provide warm bodies into your agency. These are vetted candidates that we put a lot of legwork to make sure that they're vetted for your agency that's going to fit your culture, what you need them to do. That's our people part. We also, during the onboarding, we focus on the process of consulting and building an infrastructure that's going to succeed for you and your VE. We also have the security protocols, because at the end of the day, our agencies are our biggest assets. Do not risk it by trying to cut corners and hiring people direct. And then we're going to make sure that employee, has the most productivity. So you're maximizing that employee with ongoing training. And Jason and I had our agencies before we did all this. But the difference is that we've gone through years of trial and error. Like, you don't have to do that. With Virtual Intelligence, we're compressing that timeline so you can get a playbook from what we did wrong and what we did right, so that you don't have to go through the same pain. So we're super excited to work with all the Hawksoft users and everyone else. Athena is amazing. You definitely want to talk to her. Worst case scenario, even if you don't decide to do business with us, we want to engage with you, and we want to build a long-term relationship.
That's right. That's right. Oh, okay. Shelly, if you would give us a call on that, it depends. It depends on what you're needing them for. There's a general price in there. It also has to, some of these P's, we have to figure out which one of these P's are the most important to you. We don't believe in a one size fits all. That's how you get in trouble, right? No one's feet are the same. No one's clothes are the same size. We want to make sure that we're going to get them for you. That's not blowing you off. That's just really the truth. I could tell you $1,000 a month, which they're not, but I could tell you $4,000 a month, which they're not, but it's going to be somewhere where it's going to be manageable for you. We're very competitive in the insurance industry. We know our competition very well. So if you don't have anything else, and Michael, if you don't, please scan the QR code, get to talk to the rock star before she goes to Hollywood. You can be able to talk to Athena. So I don't have anything else.
All right, everybody. Thank you for your time. Thank you for giving us your valuable time. I hope we share something of value to you and your agency, and that you continue to succeed.
That's right. Thanks.